The ultimate guide to become a Salesforce influencer and MVP. I don't like word influencer. I know. Um, this is a word that people use, but if I say I'm LinkedIn influencer, I'm like, ugh. No, I just write on LinkedIn. I'm content creator. This is a better word. I create content. 2 days out of 7 days in a week I spent with creating content. If you don't count this YouTube channel. Salesforce Ben is a big figure here, and I want to see what he thinks. Let's see how to become MVP.
The Salesforce ecosystem is one of the best communities I've ever come across in the world of business.
Me
Salesforce
too.
and its CEO and founder Mark Benioff has done a fantastic job of fostering a supportive, welcoming and diverse community built around its products. At the heart of the community are certain individuals who act as role models and hold core values of creating content in various formats, whether this be on LinkedIn, on a blog post, or in person at a community user group. In this article, we'll explore why these roles are important and what you can do to become a pillar of the Salesforce community in the form of an MVP or...
Is Ben just reading the text? Because in this article, like what the hell, it's not an article, it's a video.
First up, for those that are wondering, let's quickly define what the Salesforce community is. In my humble opinion, the Salesforce community is mostly made up of individuals who do not work for Salesforce. They work for end users, ISVs, Salesforce consultancies, non-for-profits, or perhaps they work as a freelancer. In other words, they are mostly in the weeds, working as a technical Salesforce professional, or perhaps in other go-to-market or support roles. Salesforce, its founders, and the community team who work for Salesforce have fostered this community, providing various mediums for people in the Salesforce ecosystem to connect with one another. These include the online Trailblazer community, in-person Trailblazer community groups, as well as the Salesforce MVP program to reward those who have made an outstanding contribution to the community. Since Salesforce started these community initiatives, the Salesforce ecosystem has kind of taken on a life of its own. A great example of this is community events such as Midwest Dreaming, the first of which was organized by Eric Dreschfield in 2011. There are now over 30 large-scale community events around the world, such as Cactus Force, Japan Dreaming, French Touch Dreaming, and London's Calling. But in 2024, and particularly over the last few years, the Salesforce community is taking on new forms as the world of digital media evolves. For example, here at Salesforce Ben, we're lucky enough to have over 1 million visits a month to our site and see ourselves as the go-to media platform for those wanting to stay abreast of everything going on in the Salesforce ecosystem. You also have an increasing number of influencers or creators on LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and their own websites. These creators are increasingly focusing
TikTok? I need to know people on TikTok. I want to see them. Is there a list or something?
on niches within the Salesforce community, such as flows and Salesforce DevOps. This creator space is becoming really interesting, and it's something I see growing exponentially over the next few years. As Salesforce grows with more people entering the ecosystem, there becomes an ever-growing need for new creators to step up and focus in on the niche such as Marketing Cloud, MuleSoft, Salesforce Project Management, and many other areas. So could this be the year that you begin your creator journey? I'm going to dive into some of the differences between the classic MVP route and the more modern creator route. But if you already know this is something you want to embark on, here at Salesforce Ben, we have just launched a creator program, helping the next generation of influencers learn about content creation, as well as getting you connected to brands who can help fund your endeavors in the ecosystem. You can find out more at salesforceben.com/creators.
I applied for this one. I haven't heard back though. But where's that? Salesforce Ben creators, right? Your guide to become, okay, creators. Creator program. Yeah, well, I'm so into it. Like I'm so into content creation. I would love to be a part of something like this. I don't know. Like, is it gonna be a community? I think we do need kind of a community of people who are producing content for Salesforce ecosystem. We don't have such a community. I think we do need such a community. Like, there are not that many. I think there are less than 30 people that I would consider creating content, and less than 5 that do it, I would say, like professionally, that do it as a, like me, for example. If I like, it's kind of my job. Like, I love doing that. I don't create anything where I'm forced to create it, but I also kind of have to create in a lot of cases, because if I stop creating in 6 months, everyone's gonna forget me and I'm gonna end up broke and without no food on the table. So I kind of have to create it. And I would say there's Jordan. Who else? Who else like this? Jordan. I would say Warren. To some extent, he doesn't really create that much, but not that many. Like, if I think about it, like, there are not that many people. I wanted to create such a community for people, but if Salesforce Ben is doing that, I'm so much on board. I'm so much on board with Ben. I want to help Ben with this. Like, we need more content creators in the Salesforce ecosystem, because we are maturing as an ecosystem. We need more people creating good content, especially on LinkedIn and on YouTube.
So what exactly is the difference between an MVP and an influencer? Let's start with a Salesforce MVP, as this is perhaps easier to define. The Salesforce MVP program began in 2010 to annually showcase and celebrate individuals who demonstrate exceptional leadership qualities in the community. Many other technology ecosystems have similar programs, such as Microsoft creating an MVP program and Tableau with their ambassador program. So how do you become an MVP? Well, it's not easy. You need to get through 3 rounds of voting by 3 distinct groups of people. First up, there is a round of nominations by the Salesforce community. Anyone can vote for you, and you can also self-nominate to get yourself considered. Secondly, Salesforce MVPs will provide feedback on these nominations, but strictly only for people that they know. Of course, logically, MVPs cannot provide feedback for people that they do not know. Lastly, the Salesforce community team will ultimately choose who is successful in this annual voting process. Typically, there are hundreds of people voted into the MVP process, and only a handful make it through each year. In addition to the fact you'll also be up against hundreds of others with significant contributions to the ecosystem, you also need to be well known by the Salesforce community, other MVPs, as well as Salesforce themselves. If one of these groups does not know you, it will be hard to get through all of the stages. For many people in the Salesforce ecosystem, becoming an MVP is an ultimate career goal. But if you were to ask a Salesforce MVP the best way to become one, they would probably answer, don't try and become an MVP. Although this might sound a bit weird, the reasoning behind it is that you shouldn't try and become an MVP in some artificial way. You should give back to the Salesforce community out of the goodness of your own heart, and if your journey of giving back leads you to become an MVP, then fantastic. If not, then it shouldn't really matter, as you've still done so much good for the community. Now we've covered Salesforce MVPs, what exactly is a Salesforce influencer?
Before we go to the influencers, I wanna say a few words about Salesforce MVP. The problem with MVPs is that they are often nominated because they have involvement in local communities, not because they have some kind of like global known, not because they're globally known, because they have done something for a very local community. Like, for example, developing a community in France or something like this, or developing community somewhere, which is totally fair that they get it. But like, MVP is somehow presented as another thing. Like, MVP is presented as something where you've done something really awesome for the whole community, but it is actually not usually the case. I don't think that Salesforce MVP program is working as it should work. Like, there are some people who totally deserve getting MVP, and there are some people who I've never heard about it, and I have really hard times understanding why. But that's fine. I mean, that's fine. Gemma, unfortunately, she passed away. She had such a big influence on me. Like, that broke my heart when I heard about that. She had such a big influence on me. I listened to podcasts with her, and basically, I I basically started a business because of her. Like, it hurts me to see that. But there are a lot of people, and like, I've never heard about them. There are so many people, because at some point, so I had an idea to have interview with every single MVP. But then I realized if I do it, I'm gonna need basically a couple of years to finish all the MVPs. There are also a lot of people who are not with the MVP, don't have this MVP badge, but have done really awesome stuff for the community. The founder of Blue Road Academy. I'm not sure if he has MVP, or maybe he just got an MVP or something. But where's the people who are working there? Where's the founder? Show me the founder. Does he already have the MVP? He changed the photo. I cannot recognize him. Yeah, Salesforce MVP. Oh, okay, nice. So he got it. He got it. But there are a few more people who I wouldn't like, who I think they deserve a lot, but they are not MVP. Wait, is Matt Gary, is he MVP? I'm not sure. Is he MVP? Yeah, so those things, like when you're not sure, like this Matt Gary is one of the most influential person for the Salesforce programming community, and you're not even sure if he is MVP. Like, yeah. Luke, for example, is Luke MVP? I don't know. Maybe they just don't put it, but Luke, Don Robbins, those people, they are so influential for the Salesforce community, and I'm not sure if they got MVP. Maybe they did. Maybe I just don't know about that. But the point, I don't see a very defined criteria how, like, why certain people are MVPs and certain people are not. That's strange.
Well, Merriam-Webster defines an influencer as one who exerts influence, a person who inspires or guides the actions of others. I would say this definition fits perfectly for those in the ecosystem. The Salesforce influencer generation mainly consists of those who have a large following on social media, who create content in various forms, and who help guide or mentor their following in specific Salesforce niches. Whilst the Salesforce MVP program has been around since 2010, and you could probably call these individuals the original Salesforce influencers, I would say the modern creator economy has only really taken off in the past 4 years or so in Salesforce. There has also been a huge increase in Salesforce creators on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and those who have their own blogs. So why is this? I would say this is purely down to demand and the way people enjoy consuming media in the modern era. If I time travel back to March 2014 when I founded Salesforce Ben, there were very limited Salesforce resources. You had official Salesforce documentation and a handful of blogs, but this changed pretty dramatically in 2014 when Salesforce launched Trailhead. But there was still a huge amount of potential for other creators to fill gaps. For example, while Salesforce has created a lot of resources for Flow, especially since retiring workflow rules and process builder, there is still a huge demand for tips to initially learn Flow and also to help advance knowledge. This is why creators such as Stephen Church, Tim Combridge, and Stephen Trumbull have over 30,000 followers combined. The same can be said for the Salesforce DevOps space with thought leaders such as Andrew Davis, Vernon Keenan, and Pablo Gonzalez. Before I jump into our final section on how to become a Salesforce influencer, as well as a few tips to help you get there, I want to address the elephant in the room. Are influencers controversial, and is the word a bit dirty? In a poll I conducted on LinkedIn, I was interested in hearing whether people had considered becoming an influencer due to the demand in this space. Although I definitely wasn't surprised at the amount of hell no's, because there's always going to be a large subset of people who would rather not share anything online, and that is completely fine. I was surprised to see the amount of people who had thought about it, but the consensus was clear from the comments that people dislike the word influencer. It conjures up images of scammers, TikTok dancers getting in the way of the public, and people creating shallow content just to get likes and sell courses. Although influencer is an industry term, I can definitely relate to this feedback, which is why we've chosen to call our new program the Creator Program. Although the images that this word conjures up sit mostly outside of the world of Salesforce, some in the Salesforce ecosystem generally dislike Salesforce influencers, seeing them as being disingenuous and fishing for likes. I can relate to this, and I think there's always going to be some bad eggs in any industry. When people see opportunities to build a following and make some money, there are always going to be those who want to take shortcuts to get there. However, overall, I think the influencer and creator space in the Salesforce ecosystem is amazing, and it's ultimately helping thousands of people with questions and content every single day. Unlike the advice to become a Salesforce MVP, which in general is you shouldn't, I would actively encourage anyone who wants to help others to become a Salesforce creator. You might see the word influencer and immediately think, yeah, becoming an influencer sounds great and I can make a bit of money on the side. Whilst this is true, it shouldn't be your motivation for building a following. Those that are in it for the money will quickly be weeded out by the Salesforce community. There are plenty of people that I know who now make full-time livings out of Salesforce content, but they spent years building up a genuine following before they even considered doing this. In our creator program, we're going to be helping those with advice for creating content and to give you a flavor of what's going to be in it This would be my advice to start becoming a creator. Firstly, you need to pick a platform. In the 21st century, we are blessed with many forms of content mediums beyond TV, radio, and print, including short form and full-length videos, LinkedIn statuses, images, live streaming, podcasts, and course creation. Becoming an influencer is all based around content, and you must pick a medium or maybe a couple that you are passionate about and have an interest in. Secondly, you need to pick a niche within sales.
If you're just starting out, you should just pick only one platform. Don't try to do multiple platforms. Like, it's hard enough to become good at one platform or at one medium or at one thing. Like, if you're starting with podcast, just stick to podcast for a year or something and get good in those things. Don't try to start a podcast and writing on LinkedIn and doing TikToks. That's not gonna work, especially if you're not doing it full time. Because one of the biggest misconceptions I see in people is that when they start creating content, they underestimate the amount of time it's gonna take them to produce a really high quality content. It takes insane amount of time to come up with something really good that people gonna like. Like, you can just throw away very quick a LinkedIn post. It's gonna be shitty and no one gonna enjoy it. Like, what's the point? Rather, instead of doing that, like, go and take 6 hours, 8 hours, 20 hours, as much as you need to make an awesome piece of content. Like, as good as you can, and then produce the best post you can, then wait for one day, and then try to make it even better. Then wait for one day and try to make it even better, and then post. Like this. So sometimes I create my posts over like 3 days. Sometimes I spend 10 hours creating just one post. Sometimes even like I had posts where I spend like 20 hours creating. It's just insane amount of time that you need. And if you're gonna try to do multiple platforms, it's not gonna work. You will just run out of the time. If you just try to post on LinkedIn, that's gonna be hard enough if you have a full-time job. That's gonna already consume all your free time, and that's it.
As the platform grows, there becomes even more niche communities within the larger Salesforce community. I provided some examples of these above, such as flows and DevOps, but there'll be many more around, such as role-based niches, such as marketing or developer, product-based, such as Tableau or Pardot, and feature-based, such as Omni Studio or reporting. Next, you need to stand out. Let's say you're a flow wizard and want to start building a following around learning flow for entry-level admins. This sounds like a pretty good niche, but there are already 20 plus large flow influencers I can think of, including some of them mentioned above.
Really?
This doesn't mean it's a no-go, but you'll be facing an uphill battle if you are doing something very similar to the other flow influencers out there. Whilst it's a challenge to start doing things differently, this is exactly how you find your niche. If you want a bit of advice, Miss XL has built up an empire of 2 million in annual revenue and millions of online followers for TikTok and Instagram for posting her short form videos. With these platforms becoming the default way many Gen Zs receive their news and information, this would probably be a good bet in 2024. My penultimate bit of advice, and something I think is vital for any creator, is to become incredible at storytelling. Storytelling is the crux of what content is. You need your videos, courses, or blogs to be highly engaging and interesting. Storytelling isn't exactly easy to learn and is a skill you build up over time, but my advice would be to plan out every piece of content you want to create in advance. What topics do you want to cover? Are you introducing a concept first without providing context? Are you using too many words to describe a concept? Are you waffling? Was that paragraph or word even necessary? Who am I creating this piece of content for? Is there even an audience out there for this? You need to be highly critical of your content to ensure it lives up to your audience's expectations, which in the world of 2024 and in the age of the creator is going to be pretty high. Finally, you just have to start. Starting is the hardest part, and it's often the stage that people have the most anxiety over. I can remember my time when I first introduced my LinkedIn network to my blog back in 2014, and all sorts of things were running through my head. What if people laugh? Are people going to comment horrible things on the status and embarrass me? All of these anxieties are illogical, especially in the Salesforce community where the vast majority of people are encouraging and supportive. And you know what? Let's say you make a major embarrassing typo and someone points it out in the comments. comments. You can easily edit your status and thank the person in the comments, or delete the status, post it again and thank the person over a DM. You also might think that you have no idea how to create content. Well, most people don't, including myself when I first started out. I would guess the vast majority of influencers in the world of fitness, food, and travel had no idea how to create content when they first started. This is exactly how you get better and you start. You evaluate your work and you improve one video or status at a time. I'm hoping you can see a bit of a difference between one of our first YouTube videos in 2020 versus this video. The way the world consumes media is changing more rapidly than at any point previously. Even in the last 10 years, we have gone from blogs to YouTube to podcasts to short-form videos as our preferred mediums. Some believe that creator-led brands are the future of media, and that people would much rather connect with an individual they trust as opposed to a faceless corporation. This is something that I see every day, and I think the media trends in the Salesforce ecosystem are no different. I hope this video was helpful, and if you're interested in becoming a Salesforce creator, make sure to check out and sign up to our new creator program at salesforceben.com/creator.
That was an awesome video. So I disagree though with few things. I mean, that's like everyone is doing content how they want. Like there's no strict system how you should do it. I don't plan any of my content at all. Like sometimes I wake up, I usually post on Tuesday and Thursday, and sometimes on Monday. I just wake up and I'm like, okay, what do I want to write about today? And I just write about it or create a post. Like I've been doing it more than a year on LinkedIn, so I got much better in this, and I can write a good post now so much quicker than before. So this is something that I disagree. But in general, really good video, Ben. Like really good video. I think LinkedIn status. I'm not really sure. What is LinkedIn status though? LinkedIn status? Create a post. Like it's LinkedIn post, isn't it? Yeah, this thing. Like, was this paragraph or word even necessary? Like, I spent so much time stripping down everything that I have. I write everything that goes into my head, and then I cut everything basically in half, because the amount of editing you need to come up with really good copywriting is a lot. I've taken few copywriting courses, and yeah, but it's very worth it. If you wanna start with any type of content creation, I would recommend go and learn copywriting to some degree. There's a really good course on it. I didn't take it, but I heard I wanna take it. Maybe it's called Copy That. This one. I heard really good stuff about it, and it's from one of my favorite copywriters that I really like. Business worth of millions, based on just copywriting. I'm gonna take it at some point when I have a little bit more time. But yeah, nice video. I think we do need more people. Like the content, if you go and really search for good content on LinkedIn, it's not much. On YouTube is more, but LinkedIn is very, very, very not much. This is why this is such a huge opportunity for people. It's not, if you create a content, you will benefit only to some degree as an individual, but if you're a business owner and you're gonna create a content, that can be completely the game changer for your business. You can, like, there is basically, if you now go and will create really quality content about business, about Salesforce, about like whatever you do as an owner of business, of a consultancy, for example, you would be so good. Like there is literally no one doing this on Salesforce. If you really put time into content creation, you can skyrocket so much. There's zero competition. People are hungry for a good content. We do need more good content.